Hello everyone, welcome to the JCast Network. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. Apps are transforming the way we learn. And with Jewish education and introducing iPads into classrooms, we're now seeing a renaissance in Jewish education. Recently, Artscroll announced that they are digitizing, with the help of RustyBrick, all their volumes. Let's take a closer look. So, Jewish apps are the latest rage, and you've been in the business for a number of years. Tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Sure. Basically, when I first got the iPhone, they didn't support third-party apps, and I really thought, like, based on Apple's iPhone apps that they had when they came out with it for the first generation, we could build something that's unique and helpful for the Jewish community. And as soon as Apple announced the second generation iPhone, we jumped on that because they were doing it for developers. And sorry about that. And when we opened it up for developers, it was interesting because we were able to do things on the iPhone platform on iOS that you weren't able to do prior. Like, we were able to build out, applications that are specific to the Jewish community that are not just, books or, flat books or static books, but it actually told you, it knew the day, knew your location, was able to actually tell you what you need to say that day based on where you are and what's going on that day. So we felt we could build a better Jewish companion using the iPhone technology.
And, you built a number of apps, and they've been very successful. What are some of the things that you think have been, the difficulties in bringing it to market, and some of the opportunities?
So Ronnie could talk more on the technical side in terms of difficulties. It's in terms of like the Jewish culture. It's a lot of people, especially the more, Orthodox or more firm you are, the less they want to adopt new technology, especially internet technologies, because it's just a device that could lead to certain things that are not appropriate. So that's one of the challenges. The other thing is, it's awkward seeing somebody, not these days, but like when we first started, it was awkward to see somebody davening from their phone. It's like, why are they texting, why are they emailing, using their phone through shul? And now it's like you see somebody in shul with their phone in front of their face during shul and esrei, it's not a big deal. It's something that you see a lot. So that's changed over time. Ronnie, do you want to talk a little bit on the technology side?
Yeah, we started off really early, and Apple has been working with us through every single iOS version, and the versions we really had some challenges with Hebrew. So the first version of Siddur actually had to reverse, the Hebrew and things like that, and then we had issues with the correctness of the various vowel signs or nikudim, things like that. So we had to, evolve over time with the technology. A lot of things were not available until literally we just got into the final changes that were on our major to-do list, and that was like full screen mode and gestures and all that. And things like this were not even capable, 4 years ago. So we finally got all that stuff in, and people are just so happy. It's one of the best things about our audience is that they're very vocal. They make sure to let us know when we do things that are bad, and they make sure to let us know when we do things that are good. And it shows up in the app review. I mean, if you look at any of the Jewish apps in the App Store, you'll see our Siddur app actually has 5-star ratings. And the reviews of them are very in-depth, and people are very happy. So we listen to everybody.
And one of the great things about your apps is that you definitely have diverse types of apps, and I think that's critical when you're trying to figure out your segment. And what drives you? I mean, when you're creating an app and you're trying to figure out like what's the next big thing. How do you find? Obviously, it costs money to develop. I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, you don't just put some code in and it just appears. It takes a lot of thought and takes a lot of money to develop these type of things. How do you choose your projects to develop?
Well, that's pretty much based off of what initially at least, it was based off of what we felt would be useful for ourselves. We build things that we find useful. And if it's not useful, we typically won't want to build it. And now we've built pretty much almost everything that we've found to be useful. Like we have the Siddur, we have, the Tikkun, we have all these different types of Jewish apps, like Shabbat Shalom tells you what time Shabbos is. We have apps that find the closest kosher restaurant, which was great when I was in San Jose this week and they opened a brand new kosher restaurant, so I was able to get there in no time. And so those type of things are very useful. Now it's like little things that come up, like, on this day it would have been useful to have this type of feature, or that day it would be useful to have those types of features. Plus, because the community is so large now, everybody's getting iPhones and iOS devices, they're sending us tons and tons of feedback and saying, it'd be great if we had this, it would be great if we had that. And based on the number of requests we get, that's how we prioritize stuff. Not just about features, obviously, it's about building out brand new apps. So, as an example, like during the nuclear reactor issue in Japan, like about a year ago, maybe less, we live in Muncie, which is not so far from the Indian Point power plant, which is obviously a nuclear power plant right here. And we're like, why don't we build an app that you open up and tells you how far away you are from a nuclear power plant, and if you're in the red zone, and what to do in case there is a leakage of some sort. So that was like something we could throw out in a couple days, and we did it, and so did 100 other people do it. But it was something that we found to be useful at the time, so we built it. That's pretty much how we come about it. Ronnie, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Other things, for instance, the Tikkun app was a gamble. It was one of those apps that were very, it's a very, very niche market. It's for bar mitzvah kids and also for professional Torah readers. But it was a big investment. It was a lot of intense, capabilities, and we had to find a publisher that had a matching, text in a high quality format that was adaptable to us. And it just worked out. Everything worked out in that respect, and it's a very successful app right now. So we're very happy with that. The next app probably would be that we try to test different markets would be our Olive Bed app. And that we designed and did all the work, the stuff in-house. You mentioned budgets and stuff like that. It costs us a lot of money to actually output apps, especially kids apps. And we were just testing to see how well the Jewish children's app market would be. And that's why we did the Olive Bed app. And that's not doing so well, but Barry's showing it on his screen. The things didn't fall into place as well as we wanted it to. So we try to get to team up with some people, and other people were not didn't work out with regards to partnerships. So we had to do everything in-house. And the number one complaint really is that we don't have an Israeli accent. So we're gonna work on getting an Israeli accent on the app.
Everyone complains. There's not. It's not. You try to create something innovative, and it's not. You don't have the Israeli accent.
So we're gonna make an option. Just like that's how we answer these kind of things. We'll put in both American and Israeli accents, and then make it an option for what you guys want to do.
Yeah,
that'll make everybody happy.
Right.
Yeah, expanding on what Ronnie's saying, especially in our Siddur app, it's like there's so many different customs, so many different types of customs and opinions and halachas and stuff like that. And so things like, even do you say Hallel on Yom HaAtzmaut or something like that, we had to make a setting for it. And is it on or off by default? So we turn it off by default, and people yell at us, why is it off by default? Why is it on by default? There's lots, you can't make every single Jewish person happy, so we try to, the beauty of the Siddur lets you say, all right, let's customize the Siddur just for me, and just for my preferences, and we're able to do that with literally probably have close to 50 settings there for all different types of things, from different halachas of what you say on a certain day versus what zmanim you hold by, pretty much everything you can imagine, which way is Mizrach, there's 3 different types of calculations, so it's pretty cool.
And do you have a sense of how many downloads you've had, let's say, for all your Jewish apps?
It's a good question. I would definitely say hundreds and hundreds of thousands, maybe millions.
Yeah, we have over 3 million sales alone in our own catalog of apps that we've produced. But that includes some non-Jewish apps as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to get more.
Right. And what's your most? Do you know your most successful app?
It's by far the Siddur
Yeah.
in regards to paid apps. With regards to free apps, I think what is it? Hebrew Translator is doing pretty well there.
The free app in Jewish World, I think, is either the Shabbat Shalom app or the Hebrew Translator app are probably the most downloaded free apps in the market in Jewish World. In terms of the paid Jewish World, it's definitely our Siddur app, which is definitely one of the most downloaded paid apps we have.
Mm-hmm. And you recently got into a partnership with Artscroll, and this is exciting. This is the next level of education. Tell us a little bit about this venture.
So we've been talking to them on and off for the past at least 2 or 3 years now. And they've decided recently that they want to go ahead and take the leap and go into the digital space. The beauty of it is, they have some of the best quality content out there. The way they lay it out has changed, how people learn, Gemara and everything, pretty much all Torah. And what we could do with their content to make it more accessible, to make it more interactive, to make it more, useful and helpful for students and even Daf Yomi people, it's just going to be amazing by having side by side stuff, overlays, contextual data that could actually make it more interactive and more useful. What they've done is an unbelievable thing in terms of the print. What we could do with them in terms of interactive technology on the iPad and iPhone, and even Android, hopefully in the future, it's going to really change things. So we're really excited for that. So
I want to talk a little bit about the Android marketplace. Like the percentage of Android kind of has already overtaken Apple. I think it's about 49% of people now are using Android phones. How do you see the Android versus the Apple marketplace?
Yeah, see, Android's a funny market. Those numbers are also a bit misleading because they're comparing, let's say, phones to phones.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people have iPod touches or iPads. In addition, if you add those in, it pretty much wipes it out. And pretty much everybody across the board. We have some really large clients that we've been doing mobile development with, big name people, and they all say, yeah, you can't make money on an Android, things like that. And it's just they're different markets. They work totally different. iPhone people will purchase apps. They'll spend money on high quality apps. Apple reviews everything, so you wind up with a better market and all that. Android is working on these things, but they're not there yet. So I can upload really broken software, viruses, whatever I want to the Android market, and it gets approved immediately. And in addition to that, there's so many free apps on Android that you basically have to make your apps free on Android in order to you have to figure out a way to, like for instance, our Siddur app. We're not sure that it will sell as well as it will be. Although
we definitely get a lot of requests for our Siddur app on Android, so it would be interesting to see when we release it, which we're working on, hopefully. That hopefully we'll be able to release one on Android and compare it. But we have released comparable apps on both the iPhone and Android, and we see a much larger adoption and download rate on iPhone OS, iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch than we have seen on Android. I'm not sure why that is, but it's definitely there's a huge difference in terms of download rates between Android and iPhone.
And the people who click ads happen more on iPhone, which is how you make money.
Right, sure, makes sense. So let's go back to the Artscroll, because I think this is, for me, it's very exciting. And whenever you're developing a platform and you're doing all the coding and trying to figure out how to integrate like their offline onto an app, like how are you going to process that, like, make it interactive and create that. I sorry, there's a, the video is fantastic, sort of explaining what you want to do, but how does that work? How do you go through your process?
Yeah, so the point of most of these apps is really you have to make them extremely intuitive. So it's not going to be a complex app. You're going to open it up, it's going to feel like a regular Gemara, and you should just be able to flick your finger and it'll just go page to page. That's the first thing that you have to experience when you open up an app like that. It's just going to behave the way you expect it to behave. And then really the extra features and things like that are just going to be extra things on top of that aren't intrusive. They're just going to be, when you click on something, something's going to happen. It's just going to be very natural. And what we do, and as well as other developers and things like that, we have a design-first mentality. So you have to design everything out first. So all the screens, all the interfaces, how all the functionality works, it's all designed in Photoshop and things like that prior to actually programming. And that way we can make sure the user experience is very good. And then once it's done, we put it into place and then test it, constantly test it, make sure it works fast and it's intuitive. If it's not intuitive, we will change things.
And what are you hoping for?
Hoping for what?
Like for Artscroll, like obviously, like jumping into this venture, like what are your hopes for the community at large?
The bottom line is we feel that there's a need for something like this. A lot of people are learning Daf Yomi, using these massive, paperback books, and they take up a lot of space. And that's great for, if you're sitting in your den or whatever, and you want to learn something, or if you're in the yeshiva and you want to carry these around, that's fine. That's totally, the way you should be doing it. But like if you're traveling, or if you're, you're a student and you don't have your Gemara with you and you need to practice or read something or anything like that, it's really going to prove to be very useful. And eventually, like with our Siddur app, it was meant to be a convenience thing. And now people pretty much say we don't use our paperback Siddur anymore. The same thing will hold true for the Artscroll.
The great part about this is really that we've heard from our Siddur users, a bunch of them saying that I wouldn't have davened today, or I wouldn't have done this today if I didn't have your Siddur. So
it's very powerful.
Yeah, this one thing,
yes.
Working with Artscroll helps one or two or three more people actually learn, the Gemara or daven one day, and we're a little part of that. That's just really good. That's just a really good thing to be a part of.
Especially for students, it's going to be much more inspirational for them to.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool to learn Gemara.
Yeah, very cool, especially in school.
High school and elementary school will be cool to learn Gemara. So.
And what do you say to people that are like, oh, forget about the digital, like let's just keep on going paper. Like what? I'm sure those arguments come up all the time.
We have Shabbos for that, right? So.
Right. Okay. There you go. Right.
Yeah, we're not going to get rid of the paper version of it. It's still very useful. If anything, it's good. A lot of people already have these volumes, and you're just going to have more people on top of that. People who have the paper version are going to buy the app as well.
Right.
It's a sidekick.
And when do you think you'll actually have this to market?
The expectation is Siyum Shas, so July, right?
Hopefully.
Well,
That's the expectation.
And how many people are working on this project?
We have about 3 developers and 2 designers.
Oh, great. And
Artscroll has a whole team of people doing a lot of things on their side as well. So.
Yeah, they actually have a really large job on their side, just marking up everything. They have to code up the entire Talmud
right.
in a digital format, which is...
People don't realize, our part might be a little bit easy, probably a little easier than Artscroll's part. They have to take the whole entire Talmud and Torah and everything and make it some structured data. And what people don't understand is when you see, on a Talmud, and it's just basically text on the page and they wrote it out. But to make that computer friendly and make it structured so that the computer can understand what those words mean, is a tremendous task, and Artscroll is investing a tremendous amount of time and money into that part. And once they hand that over to us, we can then use that to actually build out a smart version of, an intelligent version of the Talmud in a structured format, which is, nobody's done that before. Yes, there's digitally copy and paste, but there's nothing in a structured XML format that can actually make that possible. And it's hard to explain to a non-tech savvy person what that means, but it's going to really change. It's going to change the future of how people understand the relationships of certain phrases in the Talmud compared to other areas of the whole entire Torah. It's going to change things.
And it's also very graphical. One of the major requirements and also what the Shabbos-Din edition of the Gemara did is that it kept the Tzuras Hadaf, which is the layout of the old Babylonian Talmud. And that's still going to be holding true. They still have that ancient design and layout in the app. And to make that happen, it's really a huge amount of work. You're cross-referencing a lot of stuff.
Great. Well, I wish you both good luck on the venture. It's very exciting. And where can people learn more about your company?
You can check us out at RustyBrick.com, and there should be a link to our iPhone apps there as well. So you can go to RustyBrick.com/iPhone. We build a lot of apps for a lot of different companies as well as ourselves. So definitely, if you don't have our sitter, download it. You'll love it. We guarantee it. And outside of that, we do a lot of cool apps. You can take a look at our portfolio and check it out. And just appreciating it. It's great to be in this opportunity, this position to help people in this position. It's just great. So thank you.
As technology evolves, so does education. With Jewish apps, we'll be able to further our understanding of Jewish values, rituals, and history. This is Aaron Herman, and thanks for watching.